जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। भागवतम श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Canto 9, Chapter 19, verse number 26. Please recite the verse after me. Shrutva Gatham Devayani Mene Atmanaha Stri Pumsaha Sneha Vaikalvyat स्नेह वैक्लव्यात् परिहासम इव इरितम। श्रुत्वा गाथां देवयानी मेने प्रस्तोभम आत्मनः स्त्री पुंसः स्नेह वैक्लव्यात् परिहासम इवेरितम। श्रुत्वा गाथां देवयानी मेने प्रस्तोभम आत्मनः स्त्री पुंसः स्नेह वैक्लव्यात् परिहासम इवेरितम। श्रुत्वा गाथां देवयानी मेने प्रस्तोभम आत्मनः स्त्रीपुंसः स्नेहवैक्लव्यात् परिहासम् इवेरितम् श्रुत्वा गाथां देवयानी मेने प्रस्तोभमात्मनः स्त्रीपुंसः स्नेहवैक्लव्यात् परिहासम् इवेरितम् श्रुत्वा गाथां देवयानी मेने प्रस्तोभमात्मनः स्त्रीपुंसो स्नेहवैक्लव्यात् परिहासम् इवेरितम् श्रुत्वा गाथां देवयानी मेने प्रस्तोभमात्मनः स्त्रीपुंसो स्नेहवैक्लव्यात् परिहासमिवेरितम् श्रुत्वा गाथां देवयानी मेने प्रस्तोभमात्मनः स्त्रीपुंसो स्नेहवैक्लव्यात् परिहासमिवेरितम् श्रुत्वा गाथां देवयानी मेने प्रस्तोभमात्मनः स्त्रीपुंसो स्नेहवैक्लव्यात् परिहासमिवेरितम्. Mataji, please. श्रुत्वा गाथां देवयानी मेने प्रस्तोभमात्मनः स्त्रीपुंसो स्नेहवैक्लव्यात् परिहासमिवेरितम्. श्रुत्वा, hearing, gatham, the narration, Devayani, Queen Devayani, the wife of Maharaj Yayati, Mene, understood, Prastobham Atmanaha, when instructed for her self-realization, Stripumsaha, between the husband and wife, Sneha Vaiklavyat, from an exchange of love and affection, Parihasam, a funny joke or story, Eva, like, Iritam, spoken by Maharaj Yayati. Translation and purport given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. When Devayani heard Maharaj Yayati's story of the he-goat and she-goat, she understood that this story, which was presented as if a funny joke for entertainment between husband and wife, was intended to awaken her to her constitutional position. Purport. When one actually awakens from material life, one understands his real position as an eternal servant of Krishna. This is called liberation. Muktir hitvanyatha rupam swarupena vyavasthitaha. Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, verse number 6. Under the influence of Maya, everyone living in this material world thinks that he is the master of everything. Ahankar vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. One thinks that there is no God or controller, and that one is independent and can do anything. This is the material condition. And when one awakens from this ignorance, he is called liberated. Maharaj Yayati had delivered Devayani from the well. And finally, as a dutiful husband, he instructed her with the story about the he-goat and she-goat, and thus delivered her from the misconception of material happiness. Devayani was quite competent to understand her liberated husband, and therefore she decided to follow him as his faithful wife. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasha Swamin Iti Namane. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So here we are in the last section of King Yayati's story, where he has understood, he has realized the fact that sensual pleasure cannot provide real happiness. How he has arrived to this conclusion? He arrived to this conclusion because he has experienced it. Srila Prabhupada nicely gives an analogy in Sri Ishopanishad related to this word called experience. Srila Prabhupada says in Ishopanishad that the most intelligent person gathers experience by hearing and seeing. He hears and sees from the law books, scriptures, and understands the fact, or he can understand the temporary nature of this material world. And Srila Prabhupada further elaborates on this particular point by giving an example of stealing. The most intelligent person knows that stealing is not good. How does he know? Because he sees that, okay, if someone steals something, he gets arrested, gets punished, and he has to face the consequences. And then he refrains himself from theft. That's how he understands. But then there is another category called less intelligent people. What do is that they make the mistake. For example, they steal, they get arrested, they get punished, and after that they understand that, oh, stealing is not good. I should not really get engaged in stealing activity. That is called less intelligent person's character. And then the third category is most foolish person. The most foolish person, he steals, gets arrested, gets punished, faces the consequences. But then again he steals. And again he steals, gets arrested, gets punished, and faces the consequences. But still he does not come to a point. He does not understand that stealing is not good. He should not get entangled in this. And that's what the problem with this material world is. This modern civilization, or the people who we see, that they are entangled in the cycle of birth and death by performing sinful activities again and again, and not coming to a conclusion that this is not what I want. So, in which category King Yayati is? Definitely he was not most intelligent. So he comes in second category. What is that? That, okay, he made a mistake. He made a mistake, and then he faced the consequences, and then he realized the fact that this is not the real happiness is. In the beginning, definitely, he did not know the temporary nature of material world. He did not know that he is spiritual, permanent, and indestructible servant of the Absolute. He did not know about it. So he made that mistake, considering that he will get the real happiness. He made the mistake, and then he faced the consequence. what he wants. I mean, why he was doing all this? Because he wanted to have real happiness. Is there anything wrong if one wants to be happy? No. Because what I want in this material world is happiness. I want to be happy. There's nothing wrong in that. But when a person finds this happiness in a wrong way, that means if a person wants to be happy by causing distress on others, is it called happiness? No. And that's the problem with this material world is. This material world is such a place that everyone cannot be happy every time. If someone is happy, definitely there is other one who is distressed. How I can be happy by killing animals? Killing animals, how I can cause distress to them to be happy here? How I can get drunk and then feel like happy when others are getting disturbed because of me? I'm getting drunk and then causing distress for them. I'm making them unhappy. How is it possible? How that I am buying a stock, and after buying a stock, when I sell that particular stock, if it goes up, I am becoming happy. If that goes down, I am becoming unhappy. And even if it goes up and when I sell it, definitely there are some other people who are distressed because they felt something else and then they made losses out of it. Or Guru Maharaj really gives nice example. Recently I heard a lecture called Basics of Krishna Consciousness. In that he says that how in a football match when German wins, they become happy and then English people, they become distressed or become unhappy. How is it possible that, okay, between India and Pakistan match, India, when they win, they become happy, and Pakistanis are unhappy? Why? Why? Because this is the nature of this material world. And that's what Yayati understood after spending a lot of time, after spending many years in sense gratification. That this material world is not a place for real happiness. Real happiness. This place is kind of, as we heard an example last Sunday, that a person, he is walking in a desert for a long time and he is thirsty. And when someone comes to him and gives him a drop of water, is that thirst going to quench? Is he going to get satisfied with that particular drop of water? No. And that is what the nature of this material world is. And that's the reason this material world is actually meant for a correction. It's not meant for lording over it. This material world is meant for correction. Because we have already made one big mistake, that we left the company of Supreme Personality of Godhead. We were happy. We were eternally happy with the Supreme Lord. But we rebelled against him. We rebelled. We said, I want to be happy without you. My Lord, I want to be happy without you. So being a merciful Father, what did Krishna do? Krishna has created this material world. And then he sent all of us here for correction. Correction. What is that correction means? That the correction is that we are finding happiness on a wrong manner. We are trying to find happiness on a bodily platform. That is what the correction we have to make. That is what the mistake we are making. And this correction is that rather than trying to be happy on this material platform, one has to understand the temporary nature of this material world and correct his understanding, and then he should try to find the real happiness by surrendering onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and serving Him. Then only one can go back to Godhead and be really happy. For example, now I teach here maths. Now, when I teach maths to Gurukul boys, and when I teach them a concept of addition and subtraction, addition with borrow, subtraction with borrow, unless they don't come to a stage where they will solve all the problems correctly, I'll not go to the next step. I'll not move forward. Because when I teach them this concept, this is the basic concept, if they don't learn this concept, they are going to get failed in this material world. If they don't know addition, subtraction, what is the point of learning maths further? No point. So I have to make sure that they understand this point. They confidently solve all the problems correctly. Then only I can go to the next step. And similarly, being a merciful Father, the Supreme Personality of Godhead wants us to correct this misunderstanding that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. We cannot be happy in this particular world unless we understand the fact that sensual pleasure or gratification cannot give us real happiness. Cannot give us real happiness. And that's why the King Yayati comes in a second category. He is not foolish. He is not thinking that he is happy. This material world people, when we ask them, this is the real incident which I experienced. I asked one of the friend that, are you happy in this material world? And then he said, yes, I am happy. And then I understood the three types of coverings of lusty desires. And he comes in that third category. His covering is that, okay, the embryo is covered by the womb. That is what his covering is. That he is considering that this material world is a place to be happy. I can be happy, and I am happy by causing distress to others. That is what the most of the people in this material world is going through. That is what their covering is. But in King Yayati's case, his covering is like dust on the mirror. He needs a cleansing process. And when one understands this, or when one is going through this process again and again and understanding the point that I am trying to be happy by doing many activities in this material world, but I am not becoming happy, that means there is something else. I am finding something at the wrong place. Otherwise, you please tell me, I have really experienced these two incidents in my life. A person, CFO of a company, a big house, beautiful wife, good kids. He has everything what he can have to be happy in this material world. Commits suicide. What is wrong with him? What is wrong? A person graduates from IIT, completes his IIM, gets job in Amazon. One day, Friday morning, he comes to a company. Monday morning, he is found dead on the seat of his office. How? Why? I born in this nice family, so-called nice family. I have a good father, I have a good mother, good sisters, good brothers. But still, I have to leave them. I don't want to become old, but I have to become old. I don't want these diseases, but then these diseases are coming. I don't want to die, but I have to die. Why? And that's what the King Yayati's questions are. Now one might say that King Yayati is a king. What he does not have, he has everything. He has bank balance, he has beautiful wife, whatever he wants he can achieve. Then why he has to think about this? That I am performing this sexual pleasure, again and again, but it is not giving me happiness. Why he has to think? Why? What is the problem? So if we look back, in last chapter, we understand that King Yati is mentioned as a dharmic king. He knows dharma. He knows dharma. Specifically, he knows varnashram dharma. That's the reason when he understands the fact that I am not becoming happy, this is not what I want to be really happy, and for that I should give up all these possessions. I should follow vanaprastha. And that is what happens when a person inquires. That's what this athato brahma jigyasa means. When person inquires sincerely, seriously thinks about the problems of this material world, then Krishna, being a father, merciful father, helps him. Now we might say that, okay, King Yayati was neither Artho, he was not in a situation of Gajendra, where he can pray to the Lord and then Lord comes and rescue him. He is not in a situation of Artharthi. He is not a Dhruva Maharaj who wants to achieve some material opulence, where Narad Muni comes and instructs him. He is not in that situation as well. He is not Jigyasu. He is not Shaunakadi Rishi, where he is in search of absolute truth. He is not roaming in the forest to search, where is the absolute truth? He is not even a Jnani, 4 Kumaras. What he is trying to achieve is happiness. Being a householder. Real happiness, not superficial happiness. Not the happiness which ends in a moment. Permanent happiness. So, even if he is not artho physically, he is artho mentally. He is performing a sexual pleasure with wife, and after performing, he is thinking, am I happy? No. He is feeling the guilt again and again. I am performing this activity again and again, but no, I am not happy. And this is what I want to have, real happiness. He is neither like the mathematician called Archimedes, who one fine day was taking a bath in the tub, and then immediately he got up and then started running naked to his king Heron, screaming, Eureka, Eureka, that I found it, the principle of displacement, that density is equal to mass divided by volume. No, he was not in that position. That means when he was doing that particular activity of sex, he was thinking that, no, this is not what I want, I guess, because I am not becoming happy. This is not what real happiness means. And when he understood this point, he understood that, no, this is temporary. I should look for something permanent. Then, being a sincere, being a merciful father, Krishna helps him and then gives him the knowledge. Gives him the knowledge. And when one gets the knowledge, then he becomes nirmukta. Nirmukta means freed. Nirmukta means immediately freed. He gets the knowledge of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because he is dharmic, he somehow missed that point. So Krishna reminded him. For example, in case of Ajamila, Ajamila was dharmic. He was performing his varnashram activities. He was following regulation of varnashram activities. And varnashram dharma is meant for bringing humans out from the material clutches of birth and death. by following the regulative principles. And that's what King Yayati was following, but then he missed the point in between. As Ajamila missed the point, he got attracted to a prostitute. But somehow, being a merciful father, Krishna made him to keep his son's name as Narayana. And somehow he remembered his son at the time of the death. Because Krishna never forgets the devotional service performed onto his lotus feet. Swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. He remains a living entity. If he wished to get remembered. Guru Maharaj gives a nice class in Lika, recently. No, in Canterbury. He says, one person asked that how can one understand that we are progressing in spiritual consciousness. Then Guru Maharaj said that definitely when you you regulate yourself and follow the instructions given by Shastra, Guru Sadhu Shastra, automatically you come to know that you are progressing. Someone doesn't need to come and tell you that you are progressing or you are going down. Automatically it comes to know. Because mercy is there, already there. So it's you. If you follow, then you take the mercy of the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord. It's not that, okay, it is hidden somewhere. That, okay, spiritual master has to take it out and give it. No. It is already there. You please come and accept it. And that's what King Yayati did. And that's the reason when he understood this knowledge, he became Nirmukta. The last verse, Nirmukta means immediately freed. And such person, when he gets a liberation, such person, when he is liberated, what he does? He shares this knowledge, helps others to get liberated. And that's what King Yayati is doing here by giving this knowledge to his wife Devayani. And that's the reason very first word of the verse starts with Shrutva. Shrutva this word is very significant in this word, hearing. Because Devayani is hearing here. Now who is this Devayani? Devayani is the same lady who called her friend as dog. She was so much egoistic that when someone took her dress, she got so pissed off. She got so angry that she called her friend as a dog. And then to take a revenge, what she did? She made her friend, a king's daughter, as her maidservant. Such a matsarya. And these are the qualities of what? A person who is going to hell. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Madh, Moha and Matsarya. And such a lady is getting liberated here. How? The canto, the ninth canto, the title, it's ninth canto titled as Liberation. That means definitely here Devayani is getting liberated. How? Only because of one quality. That she is hearing, she has come to a stage of mind where she is hearing. And how she is hearing? She is submissively hearing. Submissively hearing. One who hears submissively? Wife hears from her husband submissively. She should. That does not happen in this material world, modern life. That is a different story. But then that's what it is said here. That wife should hear submissively from her husband. At this moment, is he her husband? Is he her master? No. In this moment, he is her spiritual master. Because This person, King Yayati, is giving a knowledge of Supreme. And that's what spiritual master does. Spiritual master gives the knowledge to his disciple of Supreme. He tells him the uh, the so-called allurement of this material world and how to get rid of it, how to come out of it. And that's what King Yayati is doing by devising a story of he-goat and she-goat. And the Devyani's only qualification here is, she is Shrutva, she is hearing submissively from her husband. And when one hears submissively from a spiritual master, what happens? He receives mercy. He understands the absolute truth. And there are so many incidents or examples in Srimad Bhagavatam we see, by which one can come out of this ghastly affair of material of world. One can come out of the cycle of birth and death by simply, submissively hearing from the spiritual master. I would really read a couple of purports, the paragraphs from a couple of purports where Srila Prabhupada emphasizes on this point. Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 7th chapter, verse number 6, purport, Srila Prabhupada says, "It is a great transcendental science and begins with the process of hearing and chanting the name, fame, glory, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Revival of the dormant affection or love of Godhead does not depend on the mechanical system of hearing and chanting, but it solely and wholly depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. When the Lord is fully satisfied with the sincere efforts of the devotee, He may endow him with His loving transcendental service. But even with the prescribed forms of hearing and chanting, there is at once mitigation of the superfluous and unwanted miseries of material existence. Such mitigation of material affection does not wait for the development of transcendental knowledge. Rather, knowledge is dependent on devotional service for the ultimate realization of the supreme truth." Another one, Canto 1, Chapter 5, verse number 26. Prabhupada says, "Thus being cleared of all sins." See here, the moment Devyani started submissively hearing from her husband, her sins are getting cleared of ahankara, of matsarya. Thus being cleared of all sins. The hearer gradually becomes liberated from mundane association and becomes attracted to the features of the Lord. Now here one can say that Devayani was associating with her husband. So it's a mundane relationship. Is it not? Because he is the person to whom she was engaged in sexual affair for a long time. So from that perspective, one can say, yeah, she is associating with a mundane person. No, at this moment, if we see, he is not a husband, he is a spiritual master because he is liberated, he is nirmukta. He has understood that he is the servant of Absolute. His real constitutional position is to serve the Supreme Lord. He is eternal, spiritual, indestructible soul. So, that particular argument is not valid. She is not associating with mundane person. She is associating with a liberated person. And therefore, she is getting attracted to the features of Lord. Further, Srila Prabhupada says, Narad Muni has just explained this by his personal experience. The whole idea is that simply by hearing about the Lord's pastimes, one can become one of the associates of the Lord. Narad Muni has eternal life, unlimited knowledge, and unfathomed bliss. And he can travel all over the material and spiritual worlds without restriction. One can attain to the highest perfection of life simply by attentive hearing of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord from the right sources, as Sri Narada heard them from the pure devotees, Bhakti Vedantas, in his previous life. This process of hearing in the association of the devotees is especially recommended in this age of quarrel Kali. And that's what is happening here. Devayani is submissively hearing from whom? Submissively hearing from King Yayati, who is a liberated soul, who, by devising a story of he-goat and she-goat, explaining the miseries encountered by human beings or living entity in this material world, and what is her real position. Her real position is she is eternal servant of Krishna. Prabhupada says here, as muktir hitvan yatha rupam swarupena vyavasthitaha. Our eternal position is that we are meant to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But by doing that mistake, what mistake is? That the mistake is that we are considering or we are trying to be happy in this material world on the bodily platform. We are losing the point that the real happiness is in serving the Lord and not performing the sensual pleasure like sex. Guru Maharaj in Lika, he tells that this sex is like a drug addiction. It's like a drugs addiction. So, when one takes a drugs, he feels like he is on top of the world. He is on a higher platform. But slowly, when the effect of the drug comes down, he feels the misery. He feels that, that uneasiness, that guilt. And even though he wants to give up that drugs addiction, he again does that because he thinks that this is the source of happiness. But it is not. It is not the real happiness. That's the reason one should simply submissively hear from the spiritual master and correct oneself, so that once we give up this particular body and Krishna willing, we remembers the Lord, we can come out of this material world and go to spiritual world and eternally serve the Supreme Master, Krishna. So I stop here. Hare Krishna. If you have any questions, please let me know. Srimad Bhagavatam, yeah, please. Yes. Minor detail.
The Prabhupada, how if the father tells the son, do not touch the fire, it'll burn. Then if he doesn't do that, then that's first class intelligence. But then if he and then he mentioned that the second class is that if he sees someone touch the fire and he learns that that person got burnt by touching the fire. So the first is by hearing, by seeing, and then the third is that when he touches the fire and it burns him, then he doesn't touch it. But the fourth class intelligence is that he keeps doing it and doing it again. That's just a small detail that I wanted to.
Yes, so that's how we started our class with
Yes.
that most intelligent, less intelligent, and foolish person. So that's the reason King Yati, we cannot say that he was the most intelligent. If we see in the seventh chapter, Krishna further says that, okay, who is most dear to him out of those four Sukritanaha? Yeah? Krishna does not say that they all are dear to him. Means, of course, they are on the platform, they are on the process of understanding how I can come out of it. But then Krishna says that, okay, most dear is Jigyasu. Jnani, four Kumaras. Because they gets the knowledge. So King Yati definitely is not the most intelligent in this case. He has heard, he saw, but then he still committed the mistake. That's the reason in the beginning of the 17th chapter, Srila Prabhupada says that, okay, King Yayati is a dharmic person. He should not have made this mistake. Yes? But still he makes this mistake. That means he is not the most intelligent. That's the reason he comes in the second category as less intelligent. But he is still better because he has understood over the period of time this fact that this is not the real happiness which I would like to have, or every living entity is aiming for. Yeah? So that's how it is. So one, even if he is not the most intelligent, one should not be really foolish. For example, we already talked about that real-time incident which I experienced, that when I asked my friend, are you happy? He said, yes, I am happy. So he is so much covered that he is not even trying to understand that this is not the place for happiness. Then what is that place? And that is the beginning, right? That's what we say, that okay, when one understands this point, that this is not the place for happiness. Is there any other place? Yes? No. It's like a flow chart. In our IT, we used to make this flow chart. Yeah? That okay, is this process going to solve the problem? Yes? No. Yes? Okay, end. The flow ends here. No? Then okay, what are the alternatives? Alternative 1, alternative 2. Alternative 1, yes? Okay, end the flow chart. No? Again. So similarly, so one has to understand this. If he is not understanding this point, and that's what the problem with this material world is. They think that, okay, they can make this particular world as a better place. No, we cannot make this as a better place. We cannot. This is not our place. That's what. We have to simply understand this. We have to understand that we are in the toilet. Just do your activity. Just evacuate and then come out. It's not the place. So that's what. That's the reason King Yati definitely is not the most intelligent, but he is not the foolish person. He has understood. He has realized that fact. And that's how I guess, okay, we all have come to this particular Krishna consciousness. We were like a foolish people. But then at one point, we really stopped and asked ourselves, hey, wait a minute, what am I doing with my life? Is my life to earn money, buy houses, marry, beget children, and then, okay, preach them how they can be more educated on material terms, how they can be more sophisticated, so-called? No. We stopped ourselves and then we asked ourselves, is this what the real happiness meaning? No. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning in this purport. One thinks that there is no God or controller and that one is independent and can do anything. No, we are not independent. We are not independent. If I ask someone from here to stop their sleep for 1 week, can they do? No. To stop their evacuation process, can they do? No. They are not independent. These are gross level examples which we are giving. And that's what, this is the material condition. And when one awakens from this ignorance, he is called liberated. And that's what King Yayati has done here. he stopped at one moment and then asked himself that this is not the real happiness is. I have to look for some other alternative. And then he receives the mercy, because by seeing the intense desire to come out of this material world, Krishna helps the soul, as we all have received the help through devotees. And then we started trying to understand this point, what the real happiness means.
Did you mention that Yati doesn't fall within the category of, Arti Jigyasur?
Yes, I mentioned that because he is in a category of mental distress. He is frustrated, and then he looks for the real happiness, and then he comes to a platform of Jigyasu, and then he gets the knowledge of the absolute, and then he gets liberated. It's a process.
Yeah. So then.
So initially he was not on that stage.
But you could say that King Yati was frustrated.
Yes.
With his sex life, so therefore he was distressed.
Yes.
So therefore he comes under the category of,
Jigyasu and Gyani.
No, distressed person first. No? Distressed person.
Yes. So first he is Artho.
Artho.
He is distressed. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we mentioned that.
You had mentioned that he doesn't fall.
No, he falls. He falls. One might say that physically he is not distressed as Gajendra is, but he is under the category of Artho mentally. He is a king. He is an opulent person. He can do whatever he wants to do.
Okay,
so one might say that he is not Artho. He is not distressed. He is not frustrated. One might say. But no, he comes under the category of Artho. Because he is distressed mentally. He is distressed. He is again and again performing the same act, thinking that I'll be happy, but he is not becoming happy. So he is mentally distressed. He is frustrated. So he is in the category of Artho. And then he comes to a stage of Jigyasu that, okay, what is the alternative? That's what Jigyasu does. That's what we said, Athatho Brahma Jigyasa. What is there beyond this material world? Why am I suffering in this material world? Who am I? Who is supreme? Is there any supreme? If he is there, then why he is putting me under this distress condition? Why I have to rotten in this material world? That's what then we further explained that, oh, I born in such a nice family. I have such a nice father, mother. I don't want to die, but I have to die. I don't want to become old, but I have to become old. I don't want to get diseased, but I am getting diseased. Why? That is Athatho Brahma Jigyasa. And then he comes to a stage of Gyani, that he gets the knowledge of the Supreme.
Thank you for clearing that up. Thank you for clearing that up.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay, Prabhuji. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanand, Hari Hari.